Thank you, Mr. Chair. Attorney General Sessions, thank you for being here. I hope you know that I've been a strong supporter of yours since the nomination process and confirmation, and quite honestly, up into the summertime frame when for a little bit I thought the President was wavering his support for you. I have the utmost confidence in you, and I will continue to. I want to cover something fairly briefly. The good news is I've got to preside at 1, so I can't go over even if I wanted to. You've got the Civil Division nominee coming before us, and I know that the nominee's in the room now, so we can drill down on that during the confirmation. But choke point is something I'm still concerned with. Your office responded to a letter that we sent to you all that the program is effectively over. But when you go out and talk to businesses and depository institutions, they are still concerned with what's going on out there with examiners and people out in the various regulatory agencies that I still think haven't gotten the memo. So I would appreciate any efforts that DOJ can do to communicate to these lower level bureaucrats who think they're going to transcend us and that they can reawaken this program at some point, that if they do that now and we can find out that they're doing that and not paying attention to the leadership, I hope that means that it comes at the cost of their jobs. I don't want to talk about it now because I want to talk about a favorite subject that you and I have had several times on immigration, but I do need to get better clarity for people who were abused through the Operation Choke Point program under the Obama administration, and we got to get certainty to those examiners. If they continue to do it, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure they're not working there anymore.
Senator Tillis, thank you for your leadership on choke point issues. We believe we took immediate and strong action to stop it as it was being officially described in the Department of Justice. But if there are other problems out there that in the real world, let me know.
We can work with people back in North Carolina and people I've heard from across the country, and it really probably needs to go down to the name of the people who are not paying attention to what the leadership has told them to do. And if they don't change their behavior, we need to shed light on those individuals. And to the extent they can be terminated for that behavior, I'm going to push every button that I can to make sure that happens. They need to follow their leadership. Now, I want to ask you to respond to a question that I get from citizens. Does anybody really want to throw out good, educated, and accomplished young people who have jobs, some serving their country, brought to this country through no fault of their own? We're talking about the DACA recipients. What do you say to that citizen?
I say that it cannot be the policy of the United States that one can bring a young person in the country and they can't be deported. Mm-hmm. That's not a sustainable policy overall. However,
I agree with that, but you realize that that's a statement from a citizen who also happens to be the United States president, tweeted on September the 14th. So what do you say to him when he says that to you directly in the Oval Office?
The president has made clear that he would like to deal compassionately with people, young people who came here and who've been here a long time and have had and performed well in our country, and he would like to have reform in that area, but he wants some other things that are essential to go with it, I think you do.
I do. And again, I should have mentioned that I always appreciated your chairmanship in the Immigration Subcommittee. I always characterized it as a debate club because you and I got a little bit of difference.
Well, you are an active and valuable participant.
You were a great leader. Well, I want to ask another question about DACA. It's your opinion that that's an executive branch overreach.
Exactly.
So it would also be your opinion that every day that the president has delayed until May the 5th, that he's actually condoning an executive branch overreach. That in an ideal world, he would have just ended the program and caused Congress to do their job back on September 5th.
The Department of Homeland Security has committed a lot of effort to start that program, and they need some time to wind it down. I think this is the program.
But why not January?
Well, we think
or
that's
Christmas.
What they requested and they feel is appropriate, and I believe it's appropriate to wind down.
What do you think the president, and I'm sorry because I'm running out of time and I do have to preside, what do you think the president meant in a tweet back in early September when he said we have 6 months to legalize DACA, 6 months to legalize DACA, or I will revisit the issue. Would you advise him that he has no administrative authority to revisit this issue?
I'm not sure what the president meant exactly in these short statements, but I know that he wants to fix this problem, as you do.
I do. And you were in the Senate for 20 years, is that right?
That's correct.
How many successful outcomes for immigration reform did you observe over 20 years?
Not many.
Or any?
Well, I saw some bad things happen.
Okay. Well, that...
But anything that my little line has always been, anytime you brought up anything in this body on immigration that would actually work to reduce lawlessness, it never passed.
So, General Sessions, if we go down the path of, if you know, there are two extremes in this debate. We don't need borders, we need bridges. They're wrong. We have the other group that says they entered this country illegally, even if they were minors, they all need to go home. If we allow either of those two ends of the spectrum to dominate the debate, where do you think we're going to be 20 years from now on immigration reform?
I think that's probably not really a fair analysis of it. I think the American people are prepared. What the American people want and what I'd like to see is us end the lawlessness. Does anybody advocate allowing people to enter the country unlawfully?
Absolutely not. And I'm going to finish at the second mark. What I'd like, because you are the Attorney General, but you and a number of your staff are actively engaged in the immigration reform strategy. And I would ask people to think reasonably about how we can go about taking care of every layer of issues that we have there, whether it's the DACA population, the work visa programs, the abuses of our visa waiver programs or visa programs, and then the illegally present. Until we get sane people coming in a room and recognizing we're not going to get it all done in one bill, hadn't even been done when the Democrats had supermajorities, then we've got to have people getting into a constructive dialogue and take these as chunks. Our people who will be here 20 years from now, I won't be one of them, are going to be guilty of the same failure of the last 20 years, and I look forward to working with you and having people in your office productively engage in something that produces an outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. We have an opportunity, Senator Tillis, right now